What's happening, hombres? Bridget here, and before this movie can kick off, I just want to let y'all know that I really appreciate y'all's support on the series, and I feel like it's gonna go a long way. Now, recapping Season 1. Season 1 was mostly just pictures and just commentary and music and all that. And the reason for that is because I didn't actually know what to actually do. And the main reason that I got this idea was because of V101 Science, which he's been all about space. So I figured, hey, why not do my own series? So I decided to do this. But Season 1 was kind of a letdown because it was just all pictures and just commentary and sound, all that. But Season 2 is going to be videos and also occasionally pictures. And also, guys, Jupiter is almost complete. All I need to include now is the videos of Juno and basically just everything else about Jupiter. And eventually, I will put it up on the channel. So I really do appreciate y'all's support, and I'm really glad that y'all have loved Season 2 Episode 1 of the Moon. Thank you all so much for all the love and support that y'all have been showing me throughout this series. I really appreciate y'all's support. And on that note, thank you all for enjoying my series and for showing your love and support. I really do appreciate that. So, and now without further ado, I will let y'all see Season 1 the movie. Take care, and I will see y'all next time. Peace out, hombres. This slightly haunting, otherworldly hum that you're listening to right now is the sound of our star, the sun. Yes, you heard me. The sun is not a planet, it's a star. The sun is a Type 2 GV star, which are the more common stars throughout the Milky Way galaxy. Our sun first formed around over 4.4 billion years ago, which stars like the sun are formed from when billions of tiny particles of gas and dust merge together and coalesce into stars. And that is how the sun was formed, and our solar system formed around the sun. However, on the inside, the core of the sun is 27 million degrees Fahrenheit, but the surface of the sun is only 26,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So anything that gets near the sun will get fried. And trust me, when it does, it'll be the worst kind of barbecue ever. But in all seriousness, the sun is very dangerous to go near and to look at too. But our sun is the key to life. The sun is what allows us to thrive, live, survive, etc. The sun is the reason why we are here today. Because without the sun, we humans and all of humanity wouldn't be here today if the sun hadn't formed, and if the solar system hadn't formed around the sun, we would all be dead. And we would all have no light, no food, nothing. Not even solar power. The sun is a very important component of our everyday lives. But be careful, because the sun does not have much left in it for much longer. Because in about 5.7 billion years from now, the sun will have exhausted all of its nuclear fuel and will become a red giant. Because today it's currently a main sequence star, which is basically in the most stable phase of its life cycle. But in 5.7 billion years from now, the sun will expand 10 to 1,000 times its normal size, engulfing Mercury and Venus. And when that happens, nothing, and I mean nothing, can escape the wrath of the red giant sun. Once the sun becomes a red giant, nothing at all will survive. Earth, meanwhile, will get burned to a crisp, just like what you're looking at here. So essentially, all form of life on Earth at that time, when the sun becomes a red giant, will not survive. All the water will evaporate. Every single bit of land on Earth will be burnt to a crisp to the point of where it is completely unrecognizable. So this is what's going to happen when our star, the sun, in 5.7 billion years from now, will become a red giant, engulfing Mercury and Venus and turning Earth into a scorching space barbecue. And no, you will not be able to put barbecue sauce on Earth once it becomes a scorched planet. Then, the sun will start a series of thermal pulses, slowly bleeding off all its mass. Until it shrinks down to a white dwarf the size of Earth, producing only a faint glow. Our sun's life won't end with a bang, but a whimper. Because our sun is not massive enough to go supernova, because only supermassive stars are capable of going supernova. But since our sun is way smaller than all the other stars in the galaxy, it won't go out with a bang, but it'll shrink down to a white dwarf, which in trillions of years after that will disperse, never to shine again. So this is not going to happen until the next few billion and trillion years. So don't start panicking, don't start packing your bags, none of that. Because that's going to happen long before you, me, and everyone that you have ever known and loved, and that you will soon know and love, will be long gone by the time the sun dies. But we are getting ourselves ready for when our star, the one that created all life today, will die. But the sun will continue to forever be a huge part of our everyday lives and will become one of the most important characters in the story of life. This is Mercury, the tiniest planet in the solar system and the closest one to the sun. This strange little world has held mysteries from us for eons. Mercury formed around the same time as all the other planets, over 4 billion years ago.
'But the crazy thing about Mercury here is that, well, it was born from a black hole. It was born from a black hole that was 4 billion years ago. But the crazy thing about Mercury here is that, well, it was born from a black hole that was 4 billion years ago.
But the crazy thing about Mercury here is that It's a planet that's really tiny, about 3,000 miles across. But its core is absolutely huge, which is crazy because you don't usually get a core that large in a planet this small. But Mercury is a very unique kind of planet. From all the other expeditions to the planet, scientists have discovered that there is ice on Mercury. Yeah, you heard me. There's ice on Mercury hidden inside craters, which are protected from the sun. But Mercury is a planet of brutal extremes, because the side of the planet facing the sun can skyrocket to over 826 degrees Fahrenheit. But during the night, on the side facing away from the sun, plummets to minus 300 degrees Fahrenheit. There have only been 2 missions to this strange little planet that is the so-called closest to the sun. We've only ever visited this planet, as I just said, twice. But there is still a lot more about Mercury that we don't really know. Like, if life ever did exist on Mercury, if life still does exist on Mercury. But one crazy thing that we somehow managed to get from Mercury is the creepy and eerie sound of this strange little world, which is this recording. A couple of more crazy things about this little world is that, like Earth, Mercury also has tectonic plates, which therefore when they move, they create fault scarps, which can be seen all over the planet's surface. But Mercury is still shrinking, and it still is after these billions of years after it formed, which is just amazing. But Mercury was not treated well by the solar system, because as you can see here, Mercury was impacted, battered, bruised, and basically bullied in the solar system throughout its life. But as we advance with technology, we will begin to unravel more mysteries about this strange little world that is now the tiniest planet in the solar system that we call Mercury. This is Venus, our sister planet, which it and Earth have similar sizes, similar densities, and that's where the similarities end. Venus was named after the Greek goddess of love, fertility, and fortune. But underneath these clouds of Venus, it is anything but love, beauty, or whatever. Venus is way, way, way different from most of the other planets that are in the solar system, but Venus is one that is literally hell. Venus suffers from the runaway greenhouse effect, which is when carbon dioxide overflows and takes over. So Venus's atmosphere comprises mostly of carbon dioxide, of which it has very little oxygen for us to breathe. Temperatures on this planet temperatures on this planet are at a scorching 846 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. Venus is a planet of brutal extremes, and like with Mercury, which we have visited earlier on, Venus here has its own recording, which the sound of our sister planet Venus sounds something like this. However, what makes Venus very dangerous to us is this. This is what we think Venus looks like underneath its boiling hot clouds. A hellish landscape, basically like something you've seen out of Star Wars or a sci-fi movie. Venus is a planet that is not, I repeat, that is not for us humans. We will not survive on this planet. However, we did manage to send something to Venus to actually get a glimpse of what the surface of our home planet looks like. What you're looking at here is a picture of a Russian probe that has landed on Venus and has taken this perfect picture of which we now know what Venus looks like thanks to this picture from this Russian probe, which is now melted like ice cream on the planet. But billions of years ago, we believe that Venus looked something like this, similar to Earth, covered in water, landscapes, and mountains, and had clouds over it. But throughout the course of billions of years, it all dried up, and as the sun got hotter and hotter as it grew, Venus lost all of this. And because of that, Venus was reduced to a boiling, hot, rocky landscape full of volcanoes, craters, fault scarps, and is just the definition of hell on Earth. If you were to go to Venus, you would not survive a day on the surface of this planet, and no matter what you do, sunscreen is not going to protect you from this hellish world. However, scientists think that we might be able to survive in Venus's upper atmosphere. How? Well, With a bit of imagination and science, scientists and astronomers are thinking of coming up with a plan to try to survive in the upper atmosphere of Venus via this. If we can advance the technology, we might be able to make floating cities of which we will be living above Venus's upper atmosphere. And all that we would have to put on is an oxygen mask without having to step inside a clunky and clumsy spacesuit like they did on the moon back in the Apollo missions. But this won't be for a long, long time in the future until we do something like this. In the end, Venus is the ultimate definition of hell on Earth. Nobody will survive a day or even a single hour or minute, second, or even a millisecond on Venus, because Venus is a killer planet until we get the technology to explore and thrive on this strange, hellish world that is also known as Earth's sister planet, Venus. This is Earth, our home, and it's always been our home. Earth is the only place in the universe that we know of so far that supports life as we know it. We have been living on this planet for millions of years, and our planet has changed a lot throughout its history. But when Earth first formed, it was a completely different planet. Back when it first formed, the Earth was uninhabitable completely. Instead, it was a molten, bubbling, lava-covered planet with no hope of life. No life could survive on Earth during the time of its formation. And therefore, Earth was a toxic planet. No life has formed yet or evolved. However, one moment in its history changed everything. About 4.4 billion years ago, a planet the size of Mars called Theia smashed into Earth, of which a smaller chunk of it became the Moon, and the rest of Theia today lies right under our feet. Theia created the new Earth after it smashed into it. But things changed for the worse. Around 2.4 billion years ago, Earth was an ice ball, and therefore was in the very first ice age in its history. All the land masses were covered in nothing but ice. It was so cold that nothing could survive at all. But as time went on, the Earth and its land masses began to take shape as its oceans formed. And when the oceans first formed, life on Earth was ready to begin. And the very first inhabitants were tiny, microscopic, singular-celled organisms like bacteria and stuff. They were the first to take foothold on this planet. As you're now seeing here, each of the land masses have changed throughout the years. From the Cambrian period, where the first true life forms began to take place on Earth, to periods such as this, where life gained a foothold on land. And then Pangaea formed, which was the first supercontinent ever. And as time went on, the dinosaurs ruled the Earth. But then the Earth went into an ice age. As millions and thousands of years went by, the entire planet, from north to south, except the equator, was covered in ice. And that's how we got here, from first evolving in Africa millions of years ago. Today, Earth is the only place in the universe that we know of that can support life, with intelligent life. But however, these land masses that you're looking at right now, they won't stay like this forever, because scientists have predicted that what's going to happen next in the next few million years is this: a new supercontinent called Pangaea Proxima. This is what scientists will predict will happen to Earth in the next 250 million years or so, where all the continents will come back together to form Pangaea Proxima. But that's a long ways away from happening. So don't start worrying yet, because we'll all be long gone by the time Pangaea Proxima takes shape. But for now, we can relax and enjoy the paradise of our home, that is planet Earth. This is Mars, the red planet, the fourth planet from the sun, and a planet that we have been studying for many years. This planet has been capturing the attention of astronomers and scientists for eons, and for centuries in fact. What makes Mars so special is that it is one of the most habitable worlds in the solar system next to Earth. But Mars has a lot of differences between it and Earth. A journey from Earth to Mars takes 6 to 8 months with the lack of technology that we currently have available. Billions of years ago, Mars may have looked something like this: a tropical planet, just like Earth, covered in water and land masses. But over time, the power of the sun grew greater and greater, that it evaporated all the water on Mars, causing Mars to end up as a hot, desolate, red landscape. Over the course of billions of years, scientists have, according to scientists, over the course of billions of years, all the water has dried up, and they think that all the water is right underneath Mars. But we're not too entirely sure, because we can only speculate that there is water on Mars. Mars has 2 moons, 2 little ones, Phobos and Deimos. In terms of the landscape, Mars looks a bit like something that you'd see out of like Arizona or Texas or even Nevada. Vast dunes, rocky landscapes, cliffs, mountains, everything. But we got some of the best photos ever of the surface of Mars thanks to the one and only Mars Curiosity rover. As you're about to see here, the Curiosity rover has captured some of the best photos ever during its expedition on Mars. This picture has actually caught my attention. I'm not too entirely sure what it is, but I think it looks like a piece of an asteroid that crashed into Mars billions of years ago, and it's been sitting here since it crash-landed on the red planet. The Curiosity rover captured this, but I couldn't find the exact date of it, because to me, I only chose the best pictures that were the best ones of Mars to me. However, of all of the famous places on Mars that have really captured the eye of scientists is Olympus Mons, which is higher than Mount Everest, at 13.6 miles or 72,000 feet, or 22 kilometers, or 21,945.6 meters, higher than Mount Everest. We have not gotten to Olympus Mons yet, but we can only imagine, and we think that Olympus Mons was once a volcano from billions of years ago that has now died after being silent for billions of years. Mars is a very interesting yet dangerous place. Dry, desolate, and perhaps does not have life. But one thing about Mars that not a lot of people know of, that not a lot of people talk about, is that Mars has its own sound, of which the sound of the neighboring red planet sounds like this. even though we currently don't have the right technology to send a person up to Mars, all we can do is dream and hope that Elon Musk's SpaceX program, which is when he'll be sending people to Mars by the 2030s, hopefully that goes according to plan. But to be honest, I'm not ready to step foot off Earth, thank you very much. But all that we can do is dream about going to Mars, and we can only think about what it would be like to stand on the red planet and looking back at the Earth as well as the sun and seeing the world that we just came from. Now this is the end of the rocky terrestrial planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And coming soon, we'll be visiting the gas giants and their many moons. I'll see y'all next time. Take care.